Hi everybody, welcome to this short video tutorial on exporting our animation as a movie file. We're going to be exporting into an MP4 video file. Okay, so this was the result of the last tutorial. If I press A on the keyboard, I should see all of my bones and any of them which have an animation. These are all the keyframes and we can play that. Just going to click spacebar. That's my animation at the moment. And I'm going to say for now I'm finished. I've finished working on this project. Hopefully yours is a bit longer. The challenge was to try to make a 240 frame animation. Remember, if the frame rate is 24 frames per second, then 240 frames is 10 seconds. You really want to try to get a 10-second animation. So I'm finished, so I'm just going to change the end of my animation to the 70-second frame, which is there. That's the end of my animation. Brilliant. Now we're ready to export this animation as a video file. To do that, what we do is we go into Output Properties. Oh, I tell you what, guys, what will the video look like? Actually, the video is the same as our camera view. So let's just go into Camera View. Oh dear. So this is what my video will look like. That's not really very good, is it? Okay, so we do have to set up the camera. So let's get out of camera view for a minute and let's see where the camera is. There it is. It's not really where I want it to be. I want it to be in front of my object. So in object mode, I'm going to select my camera and I'm going to start moving it so that it faces my object. So let's grab it, G on the keyboard. I'm going to move it on the X axis to here. I'm now going to grab it again, G on the keyboard, and I'm going to move it on the Z axis down to here. Let's just grab it again. I'm going to grab it and move it on the X axis one more time just to center that up. Now then, what do I need to do? I'm going to grab it again and I'm going to rotate it on the Z axis just to bring it around. Not bad. Let's see what this is looking like. Oh, okay. Now we're in camera view, but remember, we've selected the camera object. So in camera view, we can do all of those things again. I'm going to grab it and I'm going to rotate it on the Z axis. Wow, that's tricky because it's very close. I'm going to rotate it on the X axis. Oh, that's better. Not bad. I'm going to come out of camera view and I'm going to grab the camera again, grab it, and I'm going to move it on the Y axis. Just move it away from the object. Let's go back into camera view. This is what we've got. I'm just going to do a couple more changes. I'm going to G to grab, and I'm just going to move it a little bit. There we go. It's a little bit tilted, isn't it? I'm going to rotate it a little bit. See if we can line that up. There we go. So when we play the video now, let's go back to this animation and play it. Let's just get rid of the overlays. This is what we're going to see. Okay, so we've set up the camera. Turn the overlays back on so we can see everything. This is the current setup. Now you might want to mess around with the lighting. We're not going to do that in today's tutorial, but it's worth playing with. Now that we've set everything up, we're going to look at how to export our animation as a video file. So we need to select the Output tab here, and we're going to go down to the Output area, choose a project folder. So I've got a project folder in Documents, Models, and give your file a file name. I'm going to call this Fork Animation. You don't need to worry about the file extension, and we'll figure that out in a moment. So this is the file name. The file extensions will be figured out. The file format is not an image format. PNG is for images. We're going to do MPEG for video. We also need to consider the encoding. We're going to encode this video file as an MP4 file. And the codec we're going to use is H.264, which is extremely popular at the moment. So this is the setup for our video file. When we've finished that, we can go into Render. Now, I'm not going to do that just yet because there's one more thing I want to do. What I want to do is have the camera orbit around the object. So while the animation is happening, the camera is going around the object. So let me show you how to do that in Blender. There's a little trick that's quite interesting. In object mode, we're going to add an empty object, which was going to be a cube. It doesn't matter what it is. I usually choose cube. I'm going to grab it and just move it on the Z-axis so it's in the middle. It doesn't have to be, but anyway, that's fine. What I'm going to do now is connect the camera to the empty object. Okay, and I'll explain why I'm going to do that. I'm going to rotate the empty object, and as it's rotating, the camera will follow it. So this is controlling the camera. So we could say this object is the camera's parent. So let's parent together the empty object and the camera. To do that, select the camera, then Shift select the parent and press Ctrl P. And choose the object option. We now have a relationship between the empty object and the camera. So let's animate the empty object. Select it. There are already some keyframes here. I think it's because I had record clicked. I shouldn't have had that clicked. Doesn't matter. I'm going to right click and delete those keyframes. Let's start again. Okay, so at the beginning of the animation, at frame 0, let's go into the properties. The Z rotation, which is the rotation we're going to mess with, is going to be 0. And let's put a keyframe there. So now we have a keyframe at frame 0. I don't know why we can't see that. That's really annoying, isn't it? I want to see frame 0. But for some reason, it's not showing me frame 0. Anyway, there's a keyframe there now. Then let's go to the end of our empty objects animation timeline, and the Z rotation will be 360. That's a full rotation. And as you can see, there is a keyframe. And if we play that, look what happens. The empty object rotates, and the camera, which is connected to the empty object, also rotates. So let's go into camera view and see what that looks like. Turn off the overlays, and let's play the animation. Brilliant! Now let's render our animation. Remember, I've set up everything already. Project folder, file name, MPEG, MPEG video, H.264. That's all been set up already. Now we're ready to render the animation. Now this might take a few moments. So while this is happening, I'm going to jump ahead and we'll continue this in a moment. And there we have it. The rendering process has finished. And if we go to my project folder, here we have the animation file. Let's play it.